Hello, everyone. Welcome to our debut weekend of the Right Crowd 2020, a virtual author expo. I am so very excited to kick off our Sunday panels with a beautiful array of authors that we have here. They are some of my very close author friends, and I'm so very excited to have them all here to share their stories, to speak. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm so glad you guys could join. So I see a couple people are joining in Facebook land and over there on YouTube as well. So hello, everyone watching. Feel free to comment. Feel free to ask questions. This is going to be a fun panel. We're going to have cool conversations, and audience interaction is definitely something that we're going to look forward to. So if you want to comment, if you want to say something, definitely say hi. So for those of you who have not seen The Right Crowd before, I know 2 panels were hosted yesterday, but if this is the first panel you're tuning in on, The Right Crowd is essentially a virtual author expo that is going to take place throughout the entire month of October. Every Saturday we're having 2 panels, every Sunday we're having 2 panels, and every panel is going to be based on a different topic, a different genre, new authors, new special guests. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm your host, Katelynn Rentería, a local author here from the RGV, and I'm so very excited to just have so many different guests from local, state, national, international. It's going to be a really fun month-long event, and the cool thing about these is that as they're streamed via Facebook Live and YouTube Live, you can always go back and see all of these wonderful people again and hear our stories and hear our answers all over again as many times as you'd like. So today, I have a panel titled A Novel Experience, Volume 1, because the people here have wonderful, wonderful books based on their own a bit of experiences. A little bit of themselves have been sprinkled into their novels, whether it be fictional or otherwise. So it's going to be really, really cool jumping into these conversations, hearing these stories, diving right in. And so speaking of diving right in, let's go ahead and do some brief introductions with our panelists here. In order on screen with Ms. Carrillo, Ms. Sanchez Garza, and Mr. Degollado. Why don't you all go ahead and give a quick intro, say your book title, let people in Facebook and YouTube know who you are.
Okay, so I'm Nati Carrillo. I'm the author of Bullies Create Bullies, and written 2018. And I have multiple books actually, but I'll talk to you about those later. It's a fiction biographical for teenagers. It talks to people that are usually being bullied, because I've been bullied before throughout my entire kinder through high school and furthermore. So yeah, that's a little bit of my story in the book. So
nice. And Sylvia?
Yes, hi everyone. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Katelynn for doing this, because this is an amazing experience for me personally. I've to be able to be on this platform and to be able to share our stories with everyone across all types of levels. So my name is Sylvia Sanchez Garza, and I have my book is titled Cascarones, and I think we'll probably spend some time talking about it a little bit later. But it's about the cultures and traditions of growing up as a Mexican American in South Texas. So that's what my book is about. Thanks again.
Wonderful. And Mr. Degollado?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Katelynn, for having me on here with this fine panel. My name is Ruben Degollado. I am the author of Throw. Everybody's showing the novels, so I'll show you mine. I am my first book's YA, but I write primarily literary fiction. It's all set in the valley, and it's all dealing with the same family, the Izquierdos. So that's my fictional universe. And I'm just very happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for you all joining on this panel. I'm so glad to see you all. It's been a while since we've been able to talk and connect, but even with our current world situation, where we might not be able to get together and do these events and, meet readers, meet authors at different, book events and organizations, it's just really awesome that we have technology like this where, we're all in our homes, we're all staying safe, we're all, thinking of one another, but we can be here together sharing our stories. It's a really cool experience. So for the viewers on Facebook and YouTube, don't be shy. Go ahead and drop a comment and say hi. And we're going to begin a panel discussion in just a moment after our panelists go a bit more in depth about their books. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and the panelists would be more than happy to answer, share their insights, their opinions. It'll be a good time. So our Facebook numbers are climbing. So if you guys would like to go again in order on screen, this time giving a bit more in-depth detail to your books, what the book is about. If you have more than one title, go ahead and talk about that as well. And we can start with Ms. Carrillo.
Okay, well, yes, thank you so much. I forgot to say that. The most important thing, this is a privilege. Okay, like I was saying, this is my first book. We'll be talking about how we got to writing it right later.
Yes.
Okay. As I said, it was in 2018. It does have a lot about what I went through growing up. And it's about Julieta, and she grew up in a large family, which also middle child syndrome. You get sort of neglected if you're like the middle child. I was sort of the middle. I was number 11 of 16. So that's one of the reasons, you can't really, I felt like I was a little bit not neglected or not noticed, so sort of average. So what I was going to school was like, not like it wasn't a big deal, but it wasn't something that I had been exposed to. Therefore, I didn't know that it was entirely wrong. Okay, so, and then in my senior year, which is supposed to be your best year, it's like turns out to be the most horrible time. And then I also got into doing children's books because, well, I'll say the purpose later. Because we want to get our smaller generation into, getting more involved about what it is to be bullied and what the type of characters you're going to become in contact with, and when to speak out about it. Okay, and I have several other. The Slippery Slope of Consequences is another one. During another time that I was using it to sort of vent. And then Shattered is a dark teenage novel. Not novel because it's very short. There is a part 2, but I haven't gotten that entirely done yet. And then the last one was Bleeding Heart. It's poetry. It's about different emotions or life stages that we go through life. And it has a lot of illustrations, which right now about the coronavirus, actually the flu is very, it goes with right now what we're dealing with, okay? And then A Miracle Before Time is about a premature baby, but it's also illustrated. So those are just my books. And I haven't done much marketing, but that's why this is like welcome just that we got. So thank you.
Awesome. I love it. And Miss Sylvia, if you would like to tell us about yourself and your story.
Yes, thank you again. My book, like I had mentioned, is titled Cascarones, and I have one book right now, and I was in the process of getting my other books published, but I guess I will talk about that a little bit later. I got into it's been a difficult time for me, but I'm very happy with this book because it has paved the way for me for this writing career that I see myself on now. And this book is tells the story of Susie, who is the character the main character in the story, and how she grows up in a Mexican-American family here in South Texas. And all of the rich cultural traditions that she is used to sharing with her family and her friends. And it's titled Cascarones, but the book is not just about Easter. It talks about the traditions, which Easter is one, and Mother's Day, getting together with family, having the menudos, different types of events that we are used to uh, as our, when our families do get together. And these are typical for, it's based on my family, so it's typical for things that we do in our family, but everyone has their own uh, unique traditions that they do. Even though we may celebrate Easter, everyone does it maybe a little bit differently. So that's what I like to share, that everyone has their unique story, their unique way of doing things. And just because you do that or you don't do it, or you want to celebrate it or you don't celebrate it, that is your way of doing it. And it's important that you share that. And so I thought that that was important for me to share as I saw my kids growing up. And you see a lot of that in my book, because I talk about, I have four sons that are grown. And when I wrote the book, they were teens. So you see a lot of the comparisons of how they are growing up with our traditions, and how they used to be, and how they're similar and they may be different. So that's kind of a little bit of how what the book is about.
Very nice. I love it. And Mr. Degollado, a little bit about yourself and your novel.
So yeah, I'm originally from, well, I was born in Indiana, but I consider McAllen my hometown. Currently, I live in La Feria, and I've lived in Florida, lived in Oregon, and moved away for a number of years, and now I'm back in the Valley, because the Valley always brings everybody home, right? You may leave, but it's like a magnet. You come back. So I'll just read from the back copy of my book, just so you get an idea. Llorona is the only girl Güero has ever loved. A wounded soul, she has adopted the name of a ghost from Mexican folklore. True to her namesake, Llorona cast Güero away with the coldness of the apparition she has become. But Güero, though he would never admit it to his friends, still wants to get back together with her. Güero spends time with his friends Angel and Smiley, members of the HCP, Hispanic Causing Panic gang, roaming the streets of the South Texas border towns they inhabit, trying to forget Llorona even as she seems to appear around every corner. Over 3 days, Güero's increasingly violent confrontations with Llorona's current boyfriend will jeopardize the lives of Angel and Smiley and the love he hopes to regain. As events begin to accelerate toward their conclusion, and gang signs are thrown as both threats and claims of identity, the question arises: will Güero throw the HCP sign, or will he throw off that life? Güero's life will be irrevocably changed by violence and loss, but who will he lose? And will he, somewhere along the way, lose himself? So that's my book, Throw.
Very nice. I'm already like, ooh. Just from the one synopsis, it's like, it's wonderful. It truly is. And I have a couple of comments coming in saying hello. Margie Longoria, a wonderful proponent of literacy and librarian.
Woo, Margie!
She says, hi, guys. And David Leja, a local author here from the Rio Grande Valley, says, hello, my friends. Great to see all of you. Thank you, Katelynn, for providing this wonderful platform for authors. Thank you for joining.
Hi, David.
Thank you for joining, David. And Raul Martinez Jr. says, hi, Katelynn, Nati, Sylvia, and Ruben.
Raul.
Hi, Raul.
Thank you all for watching. And again, we are about to jump into the panel and ask some questions and have some conversations. So for those of you watching, if you want to say anything, you have any questions, you want to say hi, go ahead and comment, and we'd love to interact with you. And the first question that I have is, deals back to that first beginning of writing, of just what made you sit down and write, those first words of your story. Did you know that you were going to write a book and that's exactly what you set out to do? Or did it kind of slowly manifest and begin to grow, and before you knew it, oh, this is a thing? And so what was the story behind your first start of writing those first words down? And anyone can answer, anyone can jump in. This is where we have our conversations.
Well, I'll go first. Can I? Well, there wasn't really no like future when I was writing. I would just write, just start writing like journaling, venting. I used it more as healing, which at that time I didn't know was healing. I was just writing, a moment of frustration or being upset. And I remember if people would remind me about the triggering events of being bullied, then I'd start to write again, because the emotions would come back. So eventually I got enough to quite a bit, right? And I said, wow, this actually could be a book, right? And what made it that I actually wanted to actually print it and get it out there was because I would see a lot of youngsters that commit suicide because they have no way out. They feel like there's no solution. And growing up in a faithful environment, Catholic, very strict, suicide is out of the question. So to me, it was like, not that the thought didn't, because there were some days it was really bad, but I said, no, you can't do that, right? That's like against my religion, and it's just not, nobody deserves to be, I'm not going to let that person win over, over my life. I mean, somebody gave me life and there's a purpose for it. So if I'm able to save somebody's life just by the story, then I've done my work, to bring out the word out there and speak up. So that was, so I normally just started just journaling and venting. And I have a second book, this is Bullies Part 2, which continues, right, with domestic violence. So it's already written, it's just because I need to edit, and the editing brings back the memories. And I know there's still healing that has to occur. That's why I haven't finished it, because when I do it, I don't know if you guys did that with your books, but mine's a little more, not dramatic, but like the feelings, the emotions are more personal. Like, so I'll either start having nightmares or I'll start like being real jumpy. So that's where I don't want to go. But I have that book, and a lot of people tell me, come on, bring it out, because they know that I have it. It's just sitting there, and there's just some healing that has to occur. Yeah.
I think there's something special that goes into it when a book comes from a place so within and so strong, and there truly is a part of you in that. And I know for sure when people read it, it's a reflection. And even if it takes time to get done, even if it times to take crafted, it just goes to show that this truly came from a place within you. And writing is therapeutic for a lot of us in a lot of different ways, and it's an even more amazing and beautiful thing when it's therapy for you writing and therapy and help for someone reading it as well, which is beautiful. So thank you for sharing
it out there, because people might get help from it. So it's really a push myself. Thank you.
Yes. And Sylvia and Ruben, if you have an answer to this question, what made you begin this whole process, this journey?
I'll go ahead and go next. I can say this has a lot to do with my family, of course. My sister, one of my sisters, used to teach with me, because I'm a former teacher, and she used to teach with me, and we had a lot of plans to do a lot of things together. And well, we lost her. She passed away from breast cancer, and it was it was, it's still really, really hard. This has been about 15 years ago, I guess. And when we started having our get-togethers without her there, like for Easter, and then having her grandchildren there at the without her there with grandchildren who she never met, that just kind of told me I felt like I needed to do something. I needed to write our story. I needed to share my story because I know she had always wanted to do that. And if she can't do it, well, I can. And I feel like there's so much that I can do. And she's not here, but I am. And I have that voice and I have that power within me to share and to help others through my writing. So I felt like, I needed to do that. So I started writing, and that's kind of how where I am. I feel like I still have a lot that I need to do, and I'm working on other works. I have other manuscripts that I have ready to go, but yes, a lot of it has to do with when that happened.
Very nice. And I have some comments coming in about that. Patty York Raymond, author. Hi, Patty. She's a local author here from the RGV. She says, great to see you, Katelynn, Nati, Sylvia, and Ruben. Sylvia, your life indeed has purpose. Thank you for addressing tough topics that we need to discuss with kids. And she says, so sorry for your loss. Your book is a tribute to her story and for your family.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Patty.
And Ruben, what about your beginning of your journey and the how Throw came to be in fruition? Oh, I think you're muted.
Sorry, rookie mistake. My bad. I think I would say that the book started as a short story, and I mentioned at the very beginning I wrote literary short stories. I got them published in a couple of different journals way back in the day. But I had this first line to the book, like the first line. It was a short story, but then as I wrote it, it kept like the character Cirilo Izquierdo kept wanting to tell me more of his story. So the first line is, if I'm going to tell you the story of how I lost two people who are closer than blood to me, I have to begin here during the summer between the sophomore and junior years of my life. And so like that was the first line. So that, other lines have changed, but that's pretty much always been the first line in the story. And part of the reason why I wanted this story to be written, I know Sylvia mentioned you were a teacher. I was a teacher. I would read The Outsiders with my kids, and the kids love it, generation after generation, class after class. But it was a little harder for them to relate to the kids. And so, I as I first taught it in South Texas, I started to think, what if someone wrote a book about the kids that I taught, so that the kids that I taught would have more of a reference. And so that's kind of where I went off. Like, I can't remember what poet said it, but if the book that you want to read is not written, then write it. I can't remember the poet. I wish I could remember who wrote that, but that's basically what I did with this book, because I wrote a book that, first of all, I would have wanted to have read when I was a kid growing up. But number two, I wanted it to be something that had universal truths in it. Many of us adults, we've had our first love. We've experienced trials and tribulations. We've lost people. And I wanted to write a story that, like I said, was universal, but also was very culturally specific. Anybody from South Texas, from the Rio Grande Valley, will read the book and they'll go, oh, yes, I remember that place. Oh, my gosh, I remember that. We used to say that. Oh, we did that. And so this book that's set in the 90s, it's relatable to kids today, but also for our culture and for a very specific time in our history.
I love it. I love it. And I love that all of these, stories come definitely from a place, within yourself, either your own life experiences or just like these connections that you want to make with the readers. They're genuine. And that's something really beautiful that adds that extra layer of authenticity to your work. And it's really beautiful. And we have another comment from a local author, Nelly Gonzalez, saying, Saludos, Katelynn, Natividad, Sylvia, and Ruben. Hola, Nelly. Thank you for joining. And so, again, anyone on Facebook and YouTube, if you have a comment, if you have a question, be sure to drop. We would love to answer. We'd love to have more conversations starting. But until then, I did want to ask, how has our current world situation, impacted your writing career or your author career? I know sometimes writing can feel like it's a full-time job because it takes a lot of your energy in terms of writing and then putting it out and marketing and all these things. But there's other obligations in life that we need to tend to. But, with kind of being on lockdown and staying home and being safe and having to adjust to this new virtual technological world, how has this impacted your writing career? Have you, I wish I could say that I've written all day, every day and been like all of this extra new content, or no, or how have you, your writing career, how has it changed with our current world situation?
Well, as far as for me, I haven't. Go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, okay. No, as far as for me, I haven't really written anything because I'm currently still going to a graduate program for health coaching, which is what I'm doing right now. I do write every now and then, but not as thorough and as I did before. What I've been doing, like in moments also that I'm frustrated or that I'm upset or that just I have something to express that I can't, I go to painting or, so I've been painting a little bit. They come out pretty aggressive. It's exposing their expression because you have to express yourself somehow, right? And then if you're knocked down, well, there's much to do. That's walking. So yeah. So as far as that, I've been on sort of a standstill for the writing part. I am thinking about doing children's illustrations regarding how to educate people on COVID, and but that's still not even halfway. So, yeah.
But you started and you have the idea, and that's how progress starts. You go and you grow and grow. You're good. You're good. Sylvia and Ruben, what about you? Your writing career in our current world situation?
I'll take that. So for me, like I've been working from home, like my day job, and I love it. I don't love working from home. I don't prefer it. I would rather be around people. But what I found was because I'm working from home, I've been more structured about my writing. And so what I have done is like my normal commute time. I work in Edinburgh, but I live in La Feria. So that was like almost 2 hours a day driving. So what I do now is like before I start work or after I'm done, I use that commute time to write. And so I know a number of people that read my first book, the question a lot of them had was, are you going to write a sequel, a follow-up? And that's pretty much what I've worked on 2 projects. Number one is the sort of a sequel to Throw. I mean, I won't give too much away, but the end of it is open-ended, and it deals a lot more with this character Karina, the female lead in the book, also known as Llorona. So what I've been doing, I've been writing her novel. I'm probably about 80% done with the first draft. I just need to write the ending. That's number one. And then number 2, I've been editing a manuscript of it's now a novel. It's an adult literary novel, which started out as stories, but that it's called The Family Izquierdo. And I mentioned that at the very beginning, is that everything I write is pretty much in the same fictional universe. And so I like to make those connections. Like you'll see a character in one story, and then they'll pop up as a side character in another story, or somebody's house or something, some picture on the wall has a story on its own, but yet it's just another part of the setting in another another story or what have you. But anyway, those are the two things I've been working on. I started out just telling myself, and I think all of us should tell ourselves, like, hey, if you need to take a step back and not be creative, that's okay right now. You don't feel like you have to step it up creatively because you're at home more, because a lot of us don't have that energy, and that's completely fine. For me, I went the opposite way with it, so it's been good.
Very nice. And Sylvia, what about yourself?
With me, this year has been, like I mentioned earlier, has been the most difficult of my entire life. A year ago, I lost my mom unexpectedly. It just took us by surprise, and that was the end of September last year. So that just took me into a deep depression, and it was really hard. And right when I was like trying to get myself out of that, then we got hit by the pandemic. So it was like one thing after another. So I really tried to work at getting myself out of that, and I did start writing, and I found that poetry was my lifesaver. So I've done a lot of writing. I have a manuscript that I'm working on and I'm editing right now, and that's a novel. It's a young adult novel. And I also have my poetry manuscript, but it seems like I've kind of leaned more towards the poetry this year, during this pandemic, and I've written a lot, and it seems like it's just kind of been pouring out, and that's been my lifesaver. I also I signed up for an online creative writing class, and I thought, okay, that's going to force me to have to turn in my assignments, even though I didn't have to do it, but I thought, well, just for my own healing. So I did that, and it's a lot better. I'm in a much better place now, even though we are staying home pretty much. I care for my elderly dad, who is also an author, and a lot of you all know him. This is his third book. My dad is Sylvia Sanchez. He will be 88 next year, and he's doing very well, thank God. But we have to be very careful with him because of his age and so forth. But that's where I've been.
Nice. And it just goes to show that, even in times where it might seem there isn't a positive around, or this, it seems like the whole world is against us trying to crack down. Like, no, like we can still learn new things. We can find new avenues. We can continue to grow stronger and get through it.
Definitely.
And I had a couple comments coming in during this past question. Ana Cavazos, a local author from the RGV, says,
Hello.
And this one came earlier, and I'm glad that I can bring it up now. Ro Martinez Jr. says, Sylvia, your book has a hilarious story titled The Present. It reminded me of a TV commercial for Wells of Westlaco, which had music that terrified me as a kid.
Yes. Thank you. It does have different little stories in there. Yes.
And I have a couple of other comments. Ana Cavasso says, oh, wow, that's amazing, Sylvia. Kudos to your dad about his own literary work. Pat York Raymond says, Sylvia, writing is cathartic. Definitely.
Yes, thank you.
And author Ana Cavasso says, cool comics, Ruben Degollado. Hey, all. Hi.
I miss all of them, seeing everybody. It's been a long time.
I know.
Seeing everyone.
And that's partly why I wanted to create, something like this, where it has been hard, especially, in the midst of something like a pandemic. It's kind of, it's got its own paradox, we're all struggling, and we'll say we'll get through this together, but we can't physically be there for one another and see each other and support each other. But through something like this, we can still make the connection, say hi, still support, and there's always another way. There's always a way to get through and overcome. And so I did have a question involving the messages that you would like to portray? And I know that we talked about it a little bit earlier, but for some people, I see our numbers kind of climbing up, where for people who have maybe hopped on a little bit later, what was the message that you all really wanted to portray through your works? Either within something that, was it kind of a lesson that you were telling yourself along the way and you wanted to share it with other readers, or this was, you know, something that you figured out after the fact, like you reread it and you realized, wow, like this is something that readers can get from it, or you set out saying, I want them to know this? What was the message behind your works?
Okay, I'll start. The message behind my work, like I said, is to prevent suicide. Hopefully, people will know, children, especially teenagers, that there is a solution. I went through it and I survived. I mean, in the book, I get beaten up, right? Like this girl, just out of nowhere, it just, her boyfriend says hi and I get beaten up. And I'm like, okay, what happened? My sister and me were just walking to the store. We did that a lot when we were young. And then right after, we were like, we go to the house, and then we're like, because we felt safe already, you know, we were at the house, we were in our own little fence. So it's like, what happened? You know, like we asked ourselves, what happened? Like, did you know her? Like, we're asking each other, like, where did she come from? And it wasn't anything I did. I didn't do anything. We didn't do anything. And we got that. So it's not you, it's the person that's doing the bullying to you that has issues. So never think that it's you and that you're not worth it, because we all deserve to be, you know, alive and be part of this earth, because we all have a purpose. And after I wrote it and then I read it, it's like there's a lot more, you know, in between that I didn't say. But like I said, when I started to write it and then I put it together, it was like, I guess I was in a hurry to get it out there, or get the feelings out of my own system, that I just started writing, you know. It was half done and then the other half just came. Like, oh, I'm like, what? I already have. But yeah, the message is that there's always a solution. And even though you're going through tough times, there's always people that can help you. Counselors, teachers, a trusted friend, a priest, anybody that you trust and confide in, a friend. Just seek out, you know, there's people out there to help. So, my message.
Very nice. And Sylvia and Ruben?
Yes, well, with mine, my book, the message is that family is very important to everyone, and many times people or kids feel like they don't have anyone, they don't have that family member, and it necessarily doesn't mean like your blood relatives, your blood family members. Anyone who is important to you, who you value, who is there for you, those are the people that in your life who you need to be around, who you need to support, and they need to support you, because those are the ones that you build your traditions with, who you build your memories with, and that's how you create your stories. And every day we are creating our stories, and everyone has their unique individual stories that are very important to them. So it's universal. The love that we have for our loved ones, for your family, it doesn't matter how different we may be. You know, I may be a Catholic, you may be a Muslim, you may be an atheist. It doesn't really matter. The whole theme is that you have that love for your traditions, for your own culture, for your own beliefs, and that you share that with each other, and that you share that love that you have for each other with others, so that they can also go on and share their stories.
I love that. And I think that's especially a powerful message, even today that, our differences, when it gets down to it, we're all human beings and we all want those same cravings of love and acceptance and support. And that's beautiful that your story promotes that. And Ruben, your message and your try to get out to the readers and out to the world.
First and foremost, I wanted to tell a good story. I wanted it to be something that was engaging to people. But I had a lot of other things, from taking kids that are in gangs. It's very easily, there could be a perception of a stereotype, or we've seen that before. And I wanted to show these kids as I knew them, as I love them. They're based on former students. I took their composites of kids I had, back in the day. So that's one. I just wanted to tell a story that's true to their life. And then I think the other thing I wanted to show was that we do have a lot of times family is, and Sylvia mentioned that family is very important for these kids. It's a found family. They find each other. And so that was one thing I wanted to show, is that the family that we have is not necessarily the one we're always born with. So that was there, and then just the power and the beauty of friendship and first love and growing up in the valley. I wanted to show the magical place that the valley is. And then lastly, another important message was that I'm a believer. I love Jesus. I have this character, Llorona, which, we all know her from folklore. And the legend is she's basically somebody who's irredeemable. I mean, she's done this horrible crime. She's condemned to walk the earth because of it. And I wanted to think, let's look at a character. Let's look at that character of Llorona, and is she really beyond redemption? And in my belief system and what I know to be true is she's not. So I wanted to take that character and give a redemption story behind somebody who none of us have ever thought she could have been redeemed. So that's the gist of it.
I love it. I love that. And we had a couple comments coming in. Patty York Raymond saying, miss seeing you all. We miss you too. And Marchi Longoria sending a heart, sending her love, sending love right back to you, Marchi. And Raul Martinez Jr. says, saludos to Ruben for your novel, which for me was an absolute time machine to the RGV in the 1980s and early 90s. That's always a really cool thing when you can make that connection where they say, like, you whatever you set out to do, you did exactly that. Yeah. That's something really awesome. And so I want to delve in a little bit more to this is going to get a little personal, where I want to know, more about you as people. Do you have any other hobbies besides writing? What are some things you like to do either professionally or just, I see all your comics on the wall, Ruben, and I know that Anna had mentioned them as well. I'm very happy with that. So what are some other things that you all like to do? I know, Nati, you mentioned that you've gotten into painting recently.
Yes. I'm going to show them. I painted several. What I did also that I'm still waiting on Word is on the audio. I put two of them on audio, the Bullies, Fake Bullies, and the Slippery Slopes. So they're still going through like quality checks. So that's another thing that I forgot to mention earlier. But since I'm like waiting, it's like I forgot about it. And then I am a nurse practitioner. I do that part-time. But with COVID and all, we went virtual. And now there's only certain areas that are requesting the assessments be done at home. And some patients don't want to be seen because, they're afraid that we're going to, cross-contaminate, of course. And that's perfectly understandable. Doing health coaching, which is I help people with weight loss and other issues or situations in their life to prevent chronic disease. And what else? Well, that's pretty much my busy. A lot of online, homework and stuff. So I forgot what the question was.
Any hobbies? Any other hobbies or other parts of your life? Yeah.
I'm going to run a marathon. So I guess I didn't like running, right? But now I'm running. so I'm up to like 10 miles. You can do 10 miles with some ease, but it's the 26-mile marathon for January, so that is gonna be a killer. But I'm gonna do it. So yeah, and dancing and music. I love all that. Well, that's all extra.
Very nice. I'm so proud of you for just taking like, you know, the whole like just the idea, the concept of like myself completing a marathon. I'm like, ooh, we need like a year of training before that happens.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for that.
Thank you.
And Sylvia and Ruben, any other hobbies that you all have like in your own personal life, either pre-pandemic or post-pandemic? Maybe you've discovered you're amazing at, you know, knitting or sewing or playing the piano or like some other really cool thing. What are you doing in your outside of your author life?
With me, family, and it's been hard. You know, it's been a challenge because of this, and I have a new granddaughter that I would love to spend more time with, and it's been really hard because my son graduated from the first UTRGV medical class this year. Yay, yay! But that also means that he has been at, you know, DHR since the pandemic started as a resident, and so it's been hard, you know, to he doesn't want to expose us and so forth. So, but we do the video chats and all, and we do see her with our, you know, keeping our distance, and it's hard. It's hard, you know. You want to see them more, and but anyway, family is number one, that I'd like to spend time with, and with my kids, and nature. I love nature. I love spending time outside, and now especially with this pandemic going on, you want to go outside, and I like to listen to the birds, and I like to, you know, walk around and enjoy the outdoors, and with my dogs also. I have 3 dogs that I love spending time with them outdoors as well. I love music. I love all types of music. I come from a musical family, so that's kind of embedded in me. And, you know, my kids are always playing music around here also. They got me into Animal Crossing when they started. So I have a 5-star island. I love Animal Crossing. That's one of my weaknesses. And right now they're trying to get me back into Smash now that the new Smash character Steve came back on. So I'll be, you know, my kids get me into all of the gaming stuff. So that's about it.
I love it. I have a few comments for you where Anna says, congratulations to your son, as well as Margie Longoria and Patty York Raymond. And Margie Longoria also says, I want this to be over so bad in terms of like the pandemic and COVID. Yes, agreeable. And I have a question for you, Sylvia. What's your native fruit on your island? What fruit do you have?
Peach.
Oh, you're a peach.
Yes.
Very
now
nice.
I have peaches, cherry, coconuts, and oranges right now. So yeah, I have all kinds of flowers. I love Animal Crossing. Sorry.
My native fruit is orange, and it took me like I think a week to get everything except apple, and I think I have like 2 apple trees, and I'm like, no, I need more.
I don't have apple, so we need to talk.
Yes, we got after this. We got to talk after this. But Ruben, what other hobbies are you doing in your life? And let us into the mind of Ruben Degollado. What do you like to do?
I like lots of things. Like Sylvia mentioned, I like hanging out with my kids. I have a very big family. I want to give a shout out to the Garzas and the Degollados and everybody related to them. I don't get to see them as much as I'd like. Even before the pandemic, you know, it's something I always wanted to do more of, just so pressed for time. But yeah, spending time with family, my own kids. As you can see behind me, I love comic books. That closet that you all see right there on my left is full of shelves and shelves of Marvel comic books primarily. I've been collecting comics since I was in back in probably the early 90s. And so that's one thing I do. The other thing I do is I wanted to show you all, I have one of my typewriters.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
I
So
learned
I
to type
actually-
on one of those.
What's that?
I learned to type on one of those.
Yeah, so did I. And, I collect them. I think I have 7, and 2 of them work really well, and the others they're not quite as well. But I like having them. It is probably the dumbest collection you'll ever have, because each one of these weighs about 10, 15 pounds, and I've dragged them across 2 states. So I think I need a different hobby. But those are just a couple things I like to do.
I love it. I love it so much. And one question that I did have, this is a bit back to the literary side, is that for any aspiring writers or aspiring authors, either that write in your genre with fiction, or, you know, that self memories and things, or anyone just perspective in writing who wants to write a book, wants to become an author, what advice would you have for them? Either something you wish you knew before you started this process, something you've learned along the way, or a piece of advice that you think this is key in knowing. What would you offer to aspiring authors and writers?
I can answer. I get that one a lot. I think that the first thing I would say is read everything. I mean, you cannot be a good writer unless you're a good reader. So shout out to Margie, who's like the book queen of the RGV and beyond. So that's the number one thing is I would say read as widely as possible. Read in the genre that you want to write in, read outside the genre, just everything you can get your hands on. So that's number one. And then number two is you mentioned it earlier, Katelynn, is know what your, I don't know, message is, right? So you need to know what that is, obviously, because you're grounded in that when you write. And, you know, mine is a faith perspective, but yours can be something else. But the other thing is that first and foremost, if you're and I'm talking a fiction writer, not a poetry or nonfiction, but mainly your emphasis has to be on the story first. If you have a message to tell, that's actually secondary, because then you're really not writing fiction at that point. So you need to tell a good story. If your message is in there, it's interwoven and it's necessary to the story, but it's not above the story itself.
Very nice. And Nati and Sylvia, do you have any advice?
I'll go. I totally agree with what Ruben said about reading, because you know that's something that is so important. That's something that we all did, and I think that we all love reading. I still am constantly reading whatever I can get my hands on all the time, and since a child, you know, I loved reading. I was always reading whatever I could, and the great thing I think about now is that when I was growing up, we didn't have any Mexican American authors, you know, that I knew of. And that's something that I always, you know, dreamt of, you know, thinking that they're, you know, why weren't there? Why would we go to bookstores and we couldn't find any, or libraries and we couldn't find any? And now, thank God, you know, we are seeing many more, thanks to, you know, Rodolfo Anaya and Sandra Cisneros and many of the others who have come before. But anyway, besides reading, I would say get your story on paper. You know, just write, because the more that you write, everything will start to come out. And once you get stuff on paper, you can always fix it, you can always edit, you can always change it up. But if you don't get anything down, then you don't have anything to work with, and you don't have your material to fix, you don't have anything to edit. And it's just a matter of just writing whatever your thoughts are, even if they don't make sense, even if the grammar or the punctuation, none of that is correct. It's okay. Just get your ideas down, and then you can go back later and see, you know, what you want to do with it. But at least you have it. That's what
Very
I think.
nice. And Nati, do you have any advice for aspiring writers and authors?
Well, if everybody has a story, so and it may not be like the story that because there's a lot of people that read different genres and all that, but you have your story and you have your unique message. So write it down, and it, like they said, it doesn't matter if it's not your perfect draft. There's editors online. I wish I would have found out about the editing, the publishing, and all that before, because that was a little tedious at the beginning. And then when I went through the editors, I thought they were going to actually edit. Like, no, they give it to you. If it's a self-publishing, they give it to you and then you edit it. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's not what I want. But anyway, so, but I did find that there's a lot of people online, people per hour, it's easier. Like, you give them your manuscript, they send it back to you, but you still have to do your research to make sure that you have a good, person doing that. But yes, the main thing is just write your story, because we all have one, and it's as important as the next one. So, and if it can help somebody, then by all means, just get it out there, because it's a message. And our challenges are usually our best testimonies, and that's what's going to help others. So even if it's like 10, 15 minutes a day, like, some of us meditate, some of us walk, some of us do other things, we can also just vent, journal, and just keep it there. And then by the time you know it, just have it all without even wanting to. So yeah, go for it.
I love that. It goes back to that whole notion of how, writing is cathartic, and it's that therapy, not only for the writer, but for the reader as well. And we had a couple comments going on about the typewriters. Margie says, find me a pink one, Ruben. And Patty York Raymond says she has an old typewriter that she wants to convert to a lamp. That would be super, super cool.
That's nice.
That's a great idea.
And about Sylvia's, when she was speaking about the Mexican-American authors and Hispanic writers, Margie had said, yes, thank you all for that and for giving us your stories. Thank you, Margie, for being such a proponent in literacy here in the RGV. And Rey Hope, who is another local author who was on yesterday's panel, says, Nati, Sylvia, and Ruben, I've been listening to you all since this live event started. I want to thank you all, and of course, Kate, for sharing your stories. You all made me revisit my plan to write my memoir. Good luck to you all. Thank you, Ray. And that's what's really beautiful about an event like this. It gives us a chance to, talk about our stories and share and get the messages out there, but also to promote each other and to support each other. And I'm glad that we all, I know on one of the panels yesterday, it's like, it's not so much as it is, oh, here's me, let's go. And we build and build and build. We're building each other and we're building together. And when one of us succeeds, we all succeed. And that's something really beautiful.
Yes.
And Anna also says, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming, Anna. All these people in the comments, thank you so very much for joining. Thank you so very much for watching. And I have one final question before I can ask for any final things from you all before we sign off. Is this one is also a little bit more personal, where if I were to meet you on the street, just walking, I see you across the way and I'm like, hi, how are you? What are you doing? What are 3 things that I would never find you without? This could be pre-pandemic or post-pandemic with, the hand sanitizer and the mask, because you should always wear your mask. But if I were to find you with 3 things that I would never find you without, what would those 3 things be?
Mine would be a pen, a journal, a calendar. So usually I have a calendar. And then the back, if I have a thought or something, I'll just write it down, or the phone, the notes, and then come back to it later. So yeah, the computer, sometimes I do take it because it's a laptop, but usually I do it on the phone now. So, and the mask, of course, but that's now.
Yes, always wear your mask. Awesome.
My wallet, although I'm notorious for losing my wallet. So I actually have one of those tiles. I don't know if y'all know what those are. I have a tile where you can locate your wallet. So hopefully I have my wallet with me. I'm probably have my Converse All Stars. That's probably my favorite shoe that I like to wear. And then I would say, so that's two things. And then I guess number three would probably be, I have a little notepad that I have about 75% of the time with, it's got like a little leather thing that I keep in my pocket, and I jot things down on that.
Very nice. I love it. And I love the Converse All Stars. I recently bought a pair of mint green ones, and they're like my favorite shoe ever now. So yes.
I like my Chucks, so I usually have those.
Yes. And Sylvia, what about you?
With me, I have, since I mentioned that I lost my mom, this was hers, and I haven't taken it off. She wore it. She never took it off. And it's, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a mustard seed. And she had it for as long as I can remember. And she always told us about the story of the mustard seed. And, you know, if you have faith, like the size of a mustard seed, which is the tiniest seed of all, then, you know, what you can do, right? Like it grows into a huge tree. But anyway, I always have this with me, and I know that she's always with me all the time. And besides this, I have that I always keep with me a rosario that I have in my purse that's always with me. And of course, well, like everyone else, I have my phone because I have to have contact with everyone. So that's what I have.
Very nice. I love it so much. But I have a couple comments. Well, I have one comment from author Ana Cavasso saying #write your story. Absolutely. And I think the panel here is a true testament to, if you have a message that you'd like to say, either you see the audience and you see, you know, like the students that Ruben wanted to be able to see and identify and relate to and write that story and get it out. And, you know, people of all ages were able to identify. That's something beautiful. And like Nati and Sylvia, where your own personal experiences, the innermost things that you wanted to share and make that connection, it's something truly beautiful. And I wanted to thank you all here for being here and just offering your stories, sharing your testaments. This was a lot of fun, and it was so good to see you all. I've missed you all so much and doing all the different events and things, but I know once this all subsides, we will absolutely be right back at it again, taking those nice group pictures and sharing and everything. And I miss it a lot, but I'm so glad that you all could join here today. And yes, of course, I absolutely was so excited to bring you all here, and especially for, you know, the debut weekend. I definitely wanted to have you all here to say, like, look, a good RGV authors to represent amazing stories that they have. And to wrap up, I would love if you all could give one last final shout out of your name, your book, where it's available, where we can find you after this, if you have any social media or websites and things, and any final words that you want to give to the audience watching before you go. So Nati, we can start with you.
Okay. Well, like I said, my name is Natividad Carrillo. I have several books. You can find them on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Outstretched Press and Page Publishing websites. The first one is Bullies Create Bullies. Okay. And then the slippery slope of consequences. One mistake leads to an exaggerated, family's downfall. Shattered. Also Page Publishers. That's the dark story. And then My Bully, which illustrations are beautiful on this one, but that's why I need to learn to illustrate because it's expensive. Also on Amazon, Miracle Before Time, also on Amazon. This is self-published, Sky Willoughby. And then on Amazon and Outskirts, A Bleeding Heart, poetry with a little different gesture, the poetry and the illustration, the pictures in there. Okay. What else? Did I answer the question?
Yes, you did. You did. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Yes, of course. And Sylvia, any final words from yourself where we can
Yes.
find you after this?
Yes, but first of all, I'd like to just take a moment and say thank you, Katelynn, for putting on this amazing platform today of all of the, and I know you had done it yesterday, I think, or last weekend with some other authors. And last night I stayed up watching some of them with Cody and some of the other authors. It's amazing. You know, I'm just, you never seem to, you're just always impressing me. I always tell my kids, you know, look, Katelynn, she's y'all's age. I tell them because I have 20-year-old kids, and she's putting on she's streaming the authors tomorrow, Streamline, and she's on YouTube, and she's writing books, and she's amazing. So I'm really impressed with everything that you do, and you're such a leader. You are an inspiration to many, not just for kids, but for adults, for us as well. And you keep going because you have so much to do with your life, and you keep at it. But thank you again for doing all that you are doing for everyone and for us today. I appreciate it very much. As far as my book, yes, you can find it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and so forth. You can go to my website. It's sylviasanchezgarza.com, and everything is on there. And I'm also, you can go to my Twitter, or I'm hardly ever on Facebook, but I'm more active on Twitter. So if you go there, it's more of a motivational type of Twitter. So that's it. Thank you.
Wonderful.
So for
I
me,
think,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't know if I just lost audio. Oh no.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can't hear you all. Oh no. Hold on. Let me see if I can fix this very quickly.
We hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I don't know if I can hear you. Can you all try speaking?
Hi, Katelynn.
No,
Hello?
I can't hear you. I don't know what
Hi,
happened. Hold on.
Hello?
Hello.
Nothing.
Can you hear?
Can
No,
you
I
hear me
can't.
now? Or can I
No.
hear you all?
Hello.
We can hear you.
Hello.
Hi, Katelynn.
I can't hear you. I don't know what happened. Okay. Let me see. I have my audio settings here. Okay. Well, I'm going to be going to this without hearing. I'm so very sorry. But for Sylvia, thank you so very much for your kind words. You made me want to cry. I love being able to like make these connections. And I know as an author, like there's a certain, level of, you have these opportunities and you have the ability to like share your story and make these things happen and make the connections, reach the different audiences. And so I know you do that with your presentations and the things that you do and the connections you make. And I'm very, very grateful that you could be here on the panel. And I'm so happy to have all of you. And I know, again, I don't know what's happening. I hope the audio comes back. But Ruben, I would like for you to give your final say of where we can find you, any social links, a little bit more about your book, and just go ahead and begin the sign off.
Okay, you can find me on Twitter, Ruben_Degollado, Instagram, Ruben_Degollado. My book is Throw. And just real quick, you can get this on Amazon, wherever books are sold, but definitely support your independent bookseller. I want to recommend that. And I just want to say you are loved, immeasurably loved. And I just want you to know that and to be encouraged today and the days throughout. I know things are tough right now, but definitely I want you to just find that encouragement and rest in that. That's okay.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I can hear, I have the live playing over on the side, so I can hear with a little bit of a lag, but I heard what you said, definitely. Love, all the love, spread all the love. And again, thank you all for joining. I know there's definitely a lot of love here, a lot of compassion here, especially just, it always makes my heart like so warm with the messages that you all have to share. And it truly does come from a place of genuinely wanting to share all of this and genuinely wanting to make those connections with the readers of all age groups. And it's something very beautiful. So I see everyone that joined on Facebook. Thank you so very much. Everyone who joined on YouTube, thank you for watching. To all the panelists, once again, thank you so very much for being here, for taking the time out of your day to come and share the story. I hope it was a very pleasant experience. And just signing off, we have another panel at 4 p.m. We have every Saturday and Sunday 2 panels back to back, one at 2, one at 4 for the entire month of October. So thank you very much, Natividad Carrillo, Sylvia Sanchez Garza, and Ruben Degollado. I'm so very happy you could join, and I know that I will see very much more of you all very soon.
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Katelynn.